Why am I so concerned about privacy? Well, recent history has shown us that a system put in place for a small innocuous reason can turn out to be quite badly abused. There's a few examples of this, now starting with internet service providers filtering. So ISP filtering. Now in the case of British Telecom, one of the main internet service providers in the UK, their filtering started with blocking access to paedophilia sites, or pedophilia sites, however you would like to pronounce that word, but it started with a very good intention of blocking sites that are criminal in nature and we really don't want people accessing, and of course protecting the children. But now we find it's being abused by the motion picture industry and British phonographic industry, protecting entertainment copyright, blocking torrent sites and streaming websites. Now you could say, oh yes, that's very good, we should be blocking these things as well, but hang on, really, this started with filtering criminal websites and now is moved over to filtering, well, what's non-criminal really. It's a civil matter. Now how about CCTV cameras? Started as a way to make us feel safe and catch criminals, but now are being used for things like catching people straying into bus lanes and for speeding, although speeding is more static cameras, but still the same sort of principle. You could have driven 100 miles in one day, but if you happen to have sped for a split second, oh dear, you're caught for speeding. Damn. And perhaps another example, gaming from the 70s, 80s and 90s, you pretty much turn on the console, start the game up, and well, maybe you'd have a title screen, maybe you'd have one screen about the developer, but then you'd be pretty much gaming straight away. Nowadays, a great slew of ident screens you have to sit through. Why? Because people weren't outraged enough when it started. These gaming companies thought, oh, it's okay, people aren't that worried, so we'll just put a few more and more and more in. But before you know it, you're waiting about 10 minutes for your game to start because you've got a slew of ident screens to sit through. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but point remains. So what about privacy? Well, the early stages of privacy invasion on the internet would have been more to do with working out what people are looking at to show targeted advertising, because targeted advertising is more likely to receive clicks and therefore of greater benefit to the ad companies. Great, so they get more money if they show you an advert that you're most interested in. But we see it abused further and further nowadays, in that what you do on the internet, on your mobile phone or your computer, is now worth quite a lot of money to these companies. I don't know why it is worth so much, but the extent they're spying on us and tracking us through various different means, I can only presume it still goes back round to advertising. It's not even just like we're stopping cookies, because there's that implementation of do not track. You know how many websites I've seen obey do not track setting? One. One website actually said, we notice you're using do not track and we will respect your rights. What about all the others that sit there and make up cookies on the computer, tracking me for everything I do? It's ridiculous. It's outrageous, quite frankly. Why have this feature that so few websites will actually obey? I suppose it was abused more by Microsoft, leaving the setting permanently on, but it was an optional setting. Firefox and Chrome browsers have it as an optional setting. Internet Explorer had it always on. What I do on the internet is my business. If you want to show me adverts related to the page I'm on, fine. Happy with that. I don't want everything that I do on the internet to be tracked to that extent that a website I could visit many days later is still showing things I was looking at days before. Not good. So that's sort of more the low-level privacy. This is what I can stop. You can fight back against this. And in fact, I think people are more concerned about privacy these days. With all the information that Edward Snowden has leaked, with what we've seen now with Microsoft Windows 10, more people are anti-tracking. It is a point where we can start turning around and say, no, we do reject this. We don't want to be tracked to this extent. I've also seen a lot more with government interference. So I've got the NSA collecting data on, well, they say foreigners, for the purposes of stopping terrorist attacks. Well, who's going to reject that? No, we all want to stop terrorists. However, I'm not a US citizen, therefore I am a foreigner. Along with, 5.6 to 5.7 billion people in the world. We are all foreigners. And we're all having our data snooped on by the NSA. And this is at network level. We can't stop network level data. I can imagine the same sort of thing happens with GCHQ as well. I expect they're just as guilty. I think the way we have seen certain news stories break. Now, here's an example from 2012 about a tweet sent that are going to party so hard they're going to destroy America. So, what happened to the individuals who made this tweet? Was it ignored, or were they arrested upon entering the United States? Well, they were arrested. This was 4 years ago, so we see the capabilities the government had then. What about now? How you can be arrested for what could be even perceived as hate speech against Muslims, of which this example here is not exactly hate speech. Fat shaming. Now hate speech, arrestable offence if you're in Scotland. It's all gone too far here. This is moving further and further into a police state. And for what? Because we didn't turn around and say early on that this is unacceptable. No, the police have just gained more and more powers, and with more and more data collection being done, the situations are just getting worse. And this is really why I'm so concerned about privacy. What we have now is bad enough, but what is going to become in the future? Does something you look at on the internet affect your ability to get insurance? Does it affect your ability to get a job? Now I'm just talking about something you look at, because in the instances of Twitter, Facebook, and other social media websites, it is something you've posted, it is something that's publicly available. But your general browsing shouldn't be publicly available. But what if it is? And the actions you take now limit your opportunities in the future. It's worth thinking about, and I know I don't have a tinfoil hat on, I don't have a neck beard, no, I'm just an ordinary guy who does perhaps know a little bit more than I let on.